You know, with a backlog as books as long as Stephen King has, of course I'm gonna have my own dedicated Stephen King TBR. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew, and today we are talking a little Stephen King here on the channel. But before we get into that, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And you can check the description box down below for links to all of my social media, including information about my Patreon, if you want to help support what I do here. And that said, guys, really what this is I went through all of my unread Stephen King. These are not the Stephen King books that I've already read. These are the Stephen King books that I've not read. So I've already read, probably in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, around 30 Stephen King books. But that leaves like 50, I think. I think he's got around 80 books published, if you include the short story collections and the novellas, which one of those is in here. And I went through, and on my shelf, I went to get the top 5 that I'm most excited to get to. And we're going to start with Stephen King's favorite book I don't remember who he was being interviewed by, but he said that this was his favorite book that he's ever written. But I've also heard mixed things about it, but I'm still really excited because it's more of a day in the life, and it's a little something different from King than I'm used to getting. And that is, of course, Lisey's Story, which, I mean, this hardcover is very interesting for a Stephen King book. But this is about like an author couple where like the husband and wife are both authors, but the husband has since passed. And I think this was written following the car accident. No, I think Dreamcatcher was written following the car accident. But this was written at some point where like Stephen King had experienced some sort of trauma and he was trying to heal from it, and so he decided to write Lisey's Story. That's my understanding of what happened. I think he was hospitalized or something, and he wrote a book that, like, you know, what if he hadn't have come out of the hospital? How would his wife dealt with it and things of that nature? And so that's kind of why I want to read this, is it's an analyzation of a relationship. And I think that that's really cool because I really kind of get into that stuff, and it's just got me excited to kind of reach for this one. Let me know where you kind of fall on Lisey's Story if you've already read it, because I know some people absolutely love it and some people find it incredibly tedious and boring, but I'm kind of here for it. Next up is that collection of novellas that I mentioned earlier, and we have got Different Seasons. And I have to thank Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, because if it wasn't for his Into the Multiverse with Different Seasons, I would probably have not gotten back into Stephen King. And I still haven't read this, but it was Mike talking about the different novellas within this, because I think this has got Shawshank Redemption. I think this has got the one with the train tracks, and the boys finding the body. This has got something about like a Nazi in hiding, kind of corrupting a modern youth. And so there's a bunch of novellas in here that are like legendary, and I want to get to them. And I just quite haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm hoping here soon that I can, so that I can finally say I've read Different Seasons and I understand why it is so beloved. Now this one is a sequel to a book that I really, really enjoyed. And Stephen King doesn't have a ton of sequels, but in this case, we are talking about Black House by Stephen King and Peter Straub. I just read The Talisman, so this one is very high on my to-be-read next from King. And Black House takes place like 30 years after the events of The Talisman. Jack Sawyer is grown up. I think he's become like a retired police detective. There's some murders that kind of pull him back in. And then there's some retconning that, from what I understand, of turning a little bit of what happened in The Talisman into more Dark Tower-ish. And so there's kind of some Dark Tower implications going into this. And apparently Jack doesn't remember his adventures as a kid, which I think is kind of interesting, and he's going to kind of rediscover and reconnect with the events of The Talisman in order to find out who is committing these murders. I'm here for it. And then this one seems to be like the next like overarching story or world or group of characters that Stephen King is doing post Dark Tower. And that's the Bill Hodges stuff. And that starts with Mr. Mercedes. And I've had a couple false starts with this trilogy. And this is like a trilogy of books. And then there's The Outsider, and then The Outsider is then followed up by a short story in If It Bleeds, which then leads into the new release, Holly. But I need to start here at the beginning so that I can then read all of that stuff. And this is kind of more detective fiction from Stephen King. I did read the hard case novels. I've read Joyland, I've read The Colorado Kid, and I've read Later. And this is kind of what Stephen King's doing outside of the hard case kind of detective fiction. So I want to read this one. It's not the super nice edition with like the smiley face on the spine. I would have loved to have that, but I've just got the standard releases. But Bell Hodges is supposed to have a very interesting kind of trajectory where it starts kind of normal world and then evolves into more of a supernatural thing, which King is wont to do. So we'll see how that works out for me. But I do have Mr. I have the whole trilogy, and I've got The Outsider, and then I still need to buy Holly because it just came out at the time of recording. I think like it came out yesterday or a couple days ago. I don't know. Time's irrelevant. And then finally, another Divisive King book. This one is supposed to be amazing, but at the same time, it's also supposed to kind of fall flat in the ending, and it's also just beefy. This feels heavy in the hand. Like, this has substance. It's got weight. This is Stephen King's Under the Dome. It's been adapted into a mini TV series, and what I understand about this one is like a dome is just placed over the small town. It's invisible. It doesn't allow like sound through. People who touch it experience a painful sensation. And yeah, I don't really know anything else about it. Did I watch the TV series? I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of TV seasons or a lot of TV adaptations by Stephen King. I did do New Haven, or Haven. It was just Haven. I've watched Haven, which I didn't really know at the time was Stephen King related. I only learned that after I'd already watched it. And then I think I've watched The Green Mile, which is a movie, so it doesn't matter. But I do want to watch Castle Rock. Let me know if Castle Rock is good, and then I can kind of let me know in the comments down below. Sorry, just brain blast. Let me know if you want me to kind of do like a Stephen King adaptations that I'm excited to watch. I could do that video, so let me know in the comments down below if that is something you are interested in. But yes, Under the Dome, I've heard it's a fantastic Stephen King book with like just not a good ending. But at the same time, like, you don't read Stephen King for his endings because that's not really what he's known for. He's more of a journey, not destination kind of writer. He wants to take you on an experience, but if he doesn't stick the landing, he's not really too bothered about it. But these are the top 5 that I'm kind of most looking forward to. Trust me, I have got, I think, around 20 books physically written by Stephen King that I have yet to read that are already on my shelf. I've slowly been building a King collection. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy Tommyknockers. I might buy Tommyknockers. I don't know. Tommyknockers is weird. I read like the first half of Tommyknockers when I was in high school. That was an experience. But yeah, these are the 5 that I am most excited to read. We got different seasons. We got Lisey's Stories. We got Black House, Mr. Mercedes, and Under the Dome. Let me know also in the comments your Stephen King TBR, or maybe just some of your favorites. That's all I really got for you today, guys. So till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.